If you're enjoying my videos, make sure you go onto the bottom, click onto the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me if you click onto the subscribe button. Thank you. Hi guys, on today's episode of All About Months, I'm going to go through the Western Conference semi-finals that went on last night between the Nuggets and OKC, Game 7. And then to finish up, I'm going to then touch up on the 4 teams that made it to the conference final of their respective conferences. And I'm going to try and predict the winners of each conference. My prediction so far hasn't been great, but that's basketball. It's been a very unpredictable playoff run so far for most of the teams. So we're going to go through the Western Conference semi-final from last night between the Nuggets and OKC Thunder. I felt like my prediction before the series was I felt Nuggets were going to beat OKC in 6 or 7 games. I think it was 7 games. Because I felt like the Nuggets had the best player and the best duo in this tie. So I was very disappointed with Jamal Murray, the way he played overall in general, and also Michael Porter Jr. Like I said before the series or before the playoffs, I said Michael Porter Jr.'s shot selection is very, very poor. He just loves to jack up a lot of trees. And Jamal Murray, I'm very disappointed in him, just simply because I've seen what he done to the Lakers. Like against the Lakers, against every series against the Lakers in the past 2 to 3 years, he's averaged 24 points per game, or no, 21 points per game, and everybody else has averaged 21 points per game. So it is very disappointing when a player like Murray, which can be an all-star, which can be a great player, doesn't perform to his ability. And also, I believe Jokic is the best player in the world. However, I feel like this playoff run, he hasn't been his best. He's had maybe 3 or 4 good games on all the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, which is unlike Jokic in general, because I feel offensively Jokic is amazing. Defensively, he can't move his feet to save his life, but he's a big body, so he kind of gets away with it. However, especially in this series, I think he only had 1 good game, one good Jokic game for his standards, which is very poor compared to his compatriot SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He had a couple of good games, which especially last night's game as well. With Denver Nuggets, I think they're in a very tricky situation because they have an interim coach. They fired their previous coach, Mike Malone. There's been a lot of parity in the NBA in the last maybe 7 to 8 years, because I was reading somewhere there hasn't been a repeat champion in 7 years in the NBA, which I think is very good because it's competitive. Even the small market teams like Pacers, OKC, they're actually getting players now, and they can actually compete compared to whereas before, where you got the Warriors and the Cavs. They build super teams, just to compete and they win multiple championships. I think the Warriors and the Cavs play like, was it 4 straight finals between them or 5 straight finals between them, which was crazy. Like every single year, start of the year, you knew exactly what was going to be the final, which makes it no fun. Whereas the last couple of years, it's actually been a little bit more unpredictable to who's going to make the final and who's actually going to win the final in general, which is good for the NBA. Like I was saying, I think Denver Nuggets in a very tricky situation because as an owner, I know they're very cheap. However, I think you have to maximize Jokic's prime. There's no point Jokic being in his prime and wasting his prime with just 1 championship. For the caliber of Jokic's ability, I think he has to be able to win maybe multiple championships, 2, 3, 4 championships with Denver. And that can only happen if they build a competent team around them. Championships are won by team, great teams, not just one individual. Of course, you get your superstars. However, you need a good amount of players in around you. You need a good team around you. That's been a downfall of the great players in the past, where they think they have maybe two superstars, and then they just have garbage in and around them. But in the NBA at the moment, like I said, there's a lot of parity, so there's actually a lot of emphasis on team building now. You have to have a good GM, a general manager. You have to draft well. You have to sign free agency well. You have to manage your books well in the NBA now, which I think is very good for the league. Like I was saying with Jokic, if the Denver Nuggets don't maximize his prime, I believe Jokic will eventually end up leaving Denver for a bigger market team, which is sad because I would like to see Jokic stay in Denver for the rest of his career, because he seems like a guy that values loyalty a lot. But like I said, if the owners aren't prepared to actually support him, pay the money, pay off the luxury tax, then he's not going to be able to maximize his potential. He's not going to be able to maximize his prime. And Jamal Murray, like I would say with Jamal Murray, every single year Jamal Murray does the exact same thing. He comes into the season not in shape, then he tries to play himself into shape, and halfway through the year, or maybe towards the end of the season, it gets a muscle injury. Like it picks up little muscle injury throughout the year, and that's because it comes into the season not prepared for the grind of the 82 games of the season. Players like that, you need to sit down, make sure you get your conditioning right before the season. Make sure you come into season. You don't have to be in the best shape coming into season. Just come into the season in regular shape. Then you'll be able to get in better shape throughout the preseason workouts, your off-season workouts, and then when the season starts, you gradually play yourself into much better shape than if you come into season not in good shape. Then eventually you're going to pick up muscle injuries, and you're going to keep picking up injuries as the season go ahead, because the NBA season is a very long season. There's 82 games a year. When I was towards the end of Game 6, I saw Aaron Gordon grab his hamstring. I was like, yeah, his hamstring is done. He's out for the rest of the series, probably out for the rest of the playoff as well. However, I was very surprised to see that he was actually starting the Game 7. They must have had him in some serious. They must have pumped in some serious painkiller into his body. But fair play to him for coming out and actually trying, because I know it's a Game 7 do or die game. However, I wonder what long-term effect that's going to have on his body. And I'm all up for players wanting to help their team, but if teams will have no issue at all trading you if you're not good enough. So I always feel like players should always protect their body, because that's their money maker. The body is a money maker. If your body breaks down, teams won't care. They'll trade you away. They'll cut you from the team. So Aaron Gordon, as much respect that people are giving him today, and I give him respect as well. It's been great throughout the playoff. He's an Hall of Fame player, especially after the last couple of years. The way he plays his role is amazing. He's probably one of the greatest role players I've seen since I started watching basketball. Just a quick shout out to the OKC Thunder. I personally didn't believe they would get to the final this year, the conference final, because I felt like they were a very young and inexperienced team. But however, young and inexperienced team, they're meant to play off in the last couple of years. Last year they got knocked out by Luka and the Mavs. This year they seem to have got their shit together, and the coach is coaching his ass off as usual. The players, SGA, fantastic. Jalen Williams finally came to play. He was brilliant. He hasn't been great all series long, but Game 7 he was amazing. He's a very good two-way player. Probably one of the best two-way players in the league at the moment. He's just amazing the way he goes about his business, and he's defensively as well. He's very good. He can give you up to anything over 20 points as well, which is amazing. You rarely ever see players like that nowadays, where most young players are more focused on offensive abilities rather than actually being able to defend as well. And in terms of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's deserving of the MVP. SGA is definitely the MVP this year. But I would still pick Jokic over him in let's say if you're ranking the top players in the league. He's probably Jokic first, SGA second, and maybe Anthony Edwards third. Those are probably top 3 players in the league in the moment. That's why I'm actually really looking forward to the matchup between the Thunders and Minnesota Timberwolves, because both teams are young. They're a young team. They have a little bit of experience. For example, Caruso won the championship with Lakers in 2020, 2021. Julius Randle has been through a lot of battles. Even though he's still young, he's a veteran in my opinion. And he's played his ass off in this playoff. I believe, like I was saying, I believe Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle have been the best one in the playoff so far, which is very surprising. I didn't even pick them getting past the Lakers in the first round, but shout out to them. They've been very good. This playoff. I can't wait for this matchup. It's going to be a brilliant matchup to watch, because both have young stars, both have young team, and both teams have really good bench players as well. I think this series will depend on how the bench players cope when they're brought into the game. When their superstars are sitting, how will which bench players are actually going to produce? Is it going to be Minnesota Timberwolves with Naz Reid and co, or is it going to be Caruso and co with OKC? My prediction is so off this playoff. So in this playoff, I would like to see Minnesota do it. I would love to see Minnesota do it just because of Anthony Edwards, but I feel like maybe the Thunders are going to win in 6 or 7 games. I know it's a short turnaround for the Thunder, so maybe Minnesota get game 1 because they've had more rest. But I believe the OKC Thunders will eventually win in 6 or 7 games to make it to the NBA final. The conference finals out in the East is surprisingly between the Knicks and the Pacers. Like I was saying, this playoff has been very unpredictable. No one in their right mind would have picked the Knicks or Pacers to get to the conference final in the East. Maybe if you're a hardcore fan of each team, you have blind faith towards your team. However, any neutral NBA fan wouldn't have picked especially the Pacers. That's what I'm saying. What Halliburton has done this playoff has been amazing. He's been probably he's been one of the best players in the playoff. I probably put Anthony Edwards, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and then Halliburton probably be third on my list of players in this. And actually, no, Jalen Brunson as well. Actually, Jalen Brunson first, then Halliburton. Just a bit top four of the playoffs so far. With the Knicks, you know what you're gonna get from the Knicks. They're a tough and gritty team, and when it comes down to the stretch in the fourth quarter, if the games are tight, you know they're gonna get the ball to Jalen Brunson. He won the clutch player of the year. They will get the ball to him, and he will try to close the game. So if I was the Pacers, I would try maybe put ahead as much as I can. I know it's easy to say, however, that probably has to be their strategy, because when it comes to close tight games, the Knicks will always prevail, especially with Jalen Brunson, the clutch player of the year. Halliburton as well has been clutch this playoff so far, especially against the Cavs when the games have gone down to the wire. He wasn't afraid of the moment. He got the ball, and whatever they threw at him defensively, he always got them off dribble, either hitting a tree or taking the ball to the basket. My prediction for the East Conference Final would be, I can see the Knicks beat the Pacers in 6 or 7 games, unfortunately for the Pacers. I would love to see the Pacers do it, get to NBA Finals, because I would love to see Halliburton actually get his crowning moment, because people are saying he's overrated. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's a great player. He's been, whenever he's called on, especially for a young team, he's a great leader. He's been very good so far in this playoff. So my heart tells me, my heart wants the Pacers to win. However, I believe the Knicks will win in 6 or 7 games. This is the first series I picked the Knicks, so maybe it's a reverse jinx, and they eventually lose. That's all for today. Also, don't forget to click onto the subscribe button, and if you agree with me or disagree with me, make sure to leave a comment, and obviously I'll get back to you. I'm always open to a debate about basketball.